Mathematics Paper 3, Higher Tier, June 2019. Answer all questions. You must show all your working. Calculators may be used. If your calculator does not have a pi button, take pi the value of pi to be 3.142 unless the question instructs otherwise. The total mark for the paper is 80. The marks for each question are shown in brackets. Use this as a guide as to how much time to spend on each question. Read each question carefully before you start to answer it. Keep an eye on the time. Try to answer every question, and finally check your answers if you have time at the end. Question number 2. Kathy invests 200,000 in a savings account for 4 years. The account pays compound interest at a rate of 1.5% per annum. Calculate the total amount of interest Kathy will get at the end of 4 years. So if you look at the bottom left, we have a compound interest formula. It's very important you learn this formula. The A is the total amount after n years. P is the principal or the original value. R is the rate of interest per annum. And N is the number of years the money is invested. We're going to use that formula. Or we can use the other formula I put there, which is new value is equals to original value times the multiplier to the power n. Now, we're going to use this new value. Original value is 200,000. So 200,000 is what we invested. Is what Katie invests in the savings account. 4 is the number of years. Now the interest rate is 1.5%. So we want to work out the multiplier. So we add 1.5 plus 100. It gives us 101.5. And then we divide by 100. It gives us 1.015. That is a multiplier. How much it is, the rate at which it is increasing every year. And we put it to the power 4 because it's to the power for 4 years. So 200,000 times 1.015 to the power 4, it gives you 212,272.71. And to get the interest, you subtract the new amount minus the invested amount, which is 200,000. That gives you 12,272.71. And that is the interest. Question number 3. The table shows information about the height of 80 plants. Height, frequency. So between 10 and 20, there's 7. 20 and 30, 13. 30 and 40, 14, and so on. Part A. Find the class interval that contains the median. The median, using this formula, is in the n plus 1 over 2th position. So we will have, there are 80 plants, so n is 80. 80 plus 1 divided by 2, it gives you 40.5. So it's in the 40.5th position. How do we know which height is in the 40.5th position. We start from the top, looking at the frequency. Look at the top on the table, the frequency 7 plus 13, it gives you 20. 7 add 13 gives you 20. 20 add 14 gives you 34. 34 add 12 gives you 46. But since it is the 40.5th position, that means it is inside this group 40 less than h less than or equals to 50. That is the group, that the class interval that contains the median. Part B. On the grid, draw a frequency polygon for the information in the table. To draw a frequency polygon, we need to find the height, which is the midpoint that we're going to use. So if you look on the bottom left, 10 plus 20 divided by 2, it gives us 15. And this is from the table. We add 10, add 20, half of it, it gives you 15. So we're going to use 15 and 7. That will be the first point. The next one, 20 add 30 is 50. Divide by 2, that will give us 25. So we're going to use 25 and 13. The next one, 30 add 40 gives you 70. Half of 70 is 35. So we're going to use 35 and 14. So what we are working out is the midpoint. Add the two numbers at the end, divide by 2. So the first point, if we look at the graph, the first point is 15. You look on the graph, 15 and 7. The next point, 25 and 13. 35 and 14, and so on. You mark all the points neatly and join them with a straight line. You use a ruler and join them with a straight line, not a curve. And that is what a frequency polygon looks like. And make sure you divide the y-axis, the frequency, neatly. Question number 4. Sean has drawn a time series graph to show the numbers in thousands of visitors to a fun park. Write down 2 things that are wrong or could be misleading with this graph. So for the graph, we look at the x-axis, is in years. We look at the y-axis, number of visitors in thousands. So want to write 2 things that are misleading. I've put a few there, but you can just pick 2 of them. Let's look at one of the things. They should be joined with a straight line, not curve. Use a ruler. You can see there is a curve drawn to join the points. It should be a straight line joining the points, not a curve. So you should join the points with a straight line. The second reason, first quarter not shown or plotted. The third reason, 9.5 is missing from the vertical axis. If we look at the y-axis, you would see 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, but there's no 9.5. So it's not evenly distributed there. 9.5 is missing. The fourth thing, y-axis starts at 6 and does not start at 0. If you look at the y-axis, it starts at 6 instead of 0. That's one reason. On the x-axis, number 5, it is not clear what 2, 3, 4 on the x-axis mean. What does 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 2, 3, 4. What does that mean on the x-axis? Number 6. The scale of years does not make sense because that's the scale 2016, 2017, 2018. What's the gap and how is it numbered? It does not make sense. It is not clear. So what do those numbers on the x-axis represent? So you can choose 2 of those reasons and use them, or you can write 3 of them or 4. But those are some of the things which are misleading on this graph. Question number 5. The diagram shows a hexagon. The hexagon has one line of symmetry. FA is equals to BC. EF is equals to CD. Angle ABC is equals to 117 degrees. Angle BCD is equals to 2 times angle CDE. Work out the size of angle AFE. You must show all your working. Now, how to start this type of question? You need to know this formula. Sum of the interior angles for a polygon is 180 times in bracket n minus 2. N represents the number of sides. So it's a hexagon. There are 6 sides. So 180 times 6 minus 2, it gives you 720. So the total angle in that hexagon is 720. Now let's add up those angles. Let's start with this bottom corner which says E. X plus, looking at the diagram, X at the other bottom corner plus 2x plus 2x, all of these are colored in yellow, plus 117 plus 117. And the reason why this other angle, look at the diagram, is 117 is because it says the hexagon has one line of symmetry. The line of symmetry is the pink line. So that means the angle on the right side of 117 is the same like the angle on the left side. It should be 117 as well. So 2x on the right, 2x on the left. X on the right, x on the left, because there's symmetry. Now you add all of them together. X plus 2x plus 2x. X plus x is 2x plus 2x gives 4x plus 2x gives 6x. So we have 6x plus 117 plus 117, it gives 234. And all of that equals to 720. We need to solve this equation. We can remove 234 from the right hand side. So it's 720, take away 234 is equal to 6x, and that gives you 486 is equal to 6x. To get x, you divide by 6, and that gives you 81 degrees. If x is 81, angle AFE, which we are looking for on the diagram, AFE is 2x. So we would multiply 81 times 2. That gives you 162. Question number 6. Jeremy has to cover 3 tanks completely with paint. Each tank is in the shape of a cylinder with a top and a bottom. The tank has a diameter of 1.6 meter and a height of 1.8 meters. Jeremy has 7 tins of paint. Each tin of paint covers 5 meters squared. Has Jeremy got enough paint to cover completely the 3 tanks? You must show how you get your answer. So to start this type of question, I need to show you the formula to find the area of a circle and to find the curved surface area of a cylinder. So if you have a cylinder, the top is solid circle and the bottom is circle. If you cut it and open it up, you get a circle at the top and a circle at the bottom. And the blue part is a rectangular shape. So the surface area of the cylinder is, you find the circle at the top, which is pi radius squared, add it to the circle at the bottom, which is pi radius squared for the area, and pi radius squared plus pi radius squared will give you 2 pi radius squared. And the area of the blue rectangle is the length times the width. 2 pi r is the length, which comes from that circumference, times the width, which is h. It's very important because that's what we're going to use in that question to work out the total area that we need to paint. So we're going to apply that formula. So the area is 1.6 over 2 all squared. Half of the diameter all squared gives you the area of 2.01. And because there's two of them, the top circle and the bottom circle, so the total area would be 2 times 0.0 times 2.01. Now we want the curved surface area, which is the blue part. The curved surface area is the circumference times the height. Circumference is given by 2 pi r, or you can find it as pi d. So pi times diameter, which is 1.6, times 1.8, which is the height, gives you 9.048. So we want to find the total area we are painting. Total area to paint, the two circles, 2 times 2.01, plus the area of the blue part, the curved surface, it gives you 13.068 meters squared. So we're going to paint that total area of 13.068. Right, it says in the question, Jeremy has 7 tins of paint and each tin of paint covers 35 meters squared. So 1 tin covers 5 meters squared. 7 tins would cover 5 times 7. It gives you 35 meters squared. But now Jeremy has 3 tanks. So it will be 3 times 13.068. That means 39.2 meters squared. 35 meters squared is less than or is smaller than 39.2 meters squared. So Jeremy hasn't got enough paint to cover the 3 tanks. So the answer is no. Question number 7. Work out the square root of 2.5 times sine 43 degrees divided by 8.2 squared minus 50.5. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figure. If you put all of that in your calculator and you put it at once and you press the equals to button, you will get 0.3191419,855. To give the answer to 3 significant figures, you count the first 3 numbers, 319, you put a line, you look at the number on the right, the number is 1, and that is smaller than 5. So you leave it as 0.319. So to 3 significant figure, it is 0.319. Question number 8. ABC is a right angle triangle. Here is Sarah's method to find the length of BC. BC squared is equal to AB squared plus AC squared. 6 squared plus 8 squared is 100. What mistakes has Sarah made in her method? Right, this question, look at the top right. We are using a right angle triangle and it's Pythagoras' theorem. For a right angle triangle, a squared plus b squared equals to c squared. We want to find the shorter side, one of the short sides, which is b squared. So we would apply it. To do it, we would do ac squared minus ab squared is equals to bc squared. So AC is a hypotenuse. So AC is a hypotenuse, the longest side, and that's the one opposite 90 degrees. So AC squared is 8 squared, the longest side, minus 6 squared AB, and that should be equals to B squared. And to get BC, you square root of that, that will give you 2 root 7, which is 5.2915. So what mistake has Sarah made in her method? It should be AC squared minus AB squared, not adding. She should be subtracting AC squared minus AC squared and not adding them. Or she should be using 8 squared minus 6 squared, not 8 squared plus 6 squared. It should be 8 squared minus 6 squared. She should be subtracting and not adding the numbers. Question number 8, part B. Roy is going to enlarge triangle PQR with center C and scale factor 1.5. He draws triangle XYZ. Explain why Roy's diagram is not correct. The scale factor is 5 divided by 2. 5 on the diagram, the XY divided by PQ, 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So scale factor is 2.5, not 1.5 is not correct. 3 over 2 is the same as 1.5 is the same as 3 over 2, which is the same as 1.5, which is not correct. If you work out the scale factor, it should be 2.5. If you use the other one, you use YZ, 10 divided by QR, 4. 10 divided by 4 simplifies to 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5. So he has not used the correct scale factor. Or you can say he has enlarged it by too much. Or he has used the wrong center. So the scale factor used is 2.5 and not 1.5. That's the main reason. Question number 9. A company has to make a large number of boxes. The company has 6 machines. All the machines work at the same rate. When all the machines are working, they can make all the boxes in 9 days. The table gives the number of machines working each day. So day 1, number of machines working 3. Day 2, number of machines working is 4. Day 3, number of machines working is 5. And all other days is 6. Work out the total number of days taken to make all the boxes. So if we have 6 times 9, it gives you 54 machine days needed. So 54 machine days needed. 3 plus 4 plus 5. Look at the diagram. Day 1, day 2, and day 3 gives you 3 plus 4 plus 5 gives you 12 machine days in the first 3 days. So 54 minus 12, it gives you 42. So 42 machine days are needed or left. So 42 divided by 6, it gives you 7 days. So we need more days. So 7 days are needed to use the remaining 6 machines. So the total would be the 3 days plus 7, and it gives you 10 days because we have 7 days are needed to use the remaining 6 machines. And you work out the total. 3 plus 7, it gives you 10 days. Question number 10. Marie invests £8,000 in an account for 1 year. At the end of the year, interest is added to her account. Marie pays tax on this interest at a rate of 20%. She pays £28.80 tax. Work out the percentage interest rate for the account. So £28.80 represents 20%. We want to find what does 100% represent. So we multiply 20% times 5. It gives us 100%. So we times the £28.80 by 5 to give us £144. So we have 100% is £144. So that is what we add to 8,000. So 8,000 plus 144 gives us 8,144. Now, what we want to ask ourselves is, what percentage of what do you multiply by 8,000 to get 8,144? We can rearrange this to find the value for x. So what we do is we times by 100 and divide by 8,000. Opposite of divide by 100 is times 100. Opposite of times 8,000 is divide by 8,000. That gives us 101.8. And it says work out as a percentage, the percentage interest rate. So you subtract from 100, it gives you 1.8%. Question number 11. In May 2019, the distance between Earth and Mars was 3.9 times 10 to the 7 kilometers. In May 2019, a signal was sent from Earth to Mars. Assuming that the signal sent from Earth to Mars traveled at a speed of 3 times 10 to the 5 kilometers per second, how long did the signal take to get to Mars? Speed is represented by distance divided by time. So if you look on the top right there, that formula triangle, speed is s, d is distance, t is time. And you can use the triangle, you cover t, time is given by distance divided by speed. So time is given by distance divided by speed. And the distance is 3.9 times 10 to the 7. From the question, 3.9 times 10 to the 7. And the speed is 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. You put that in your calculator, it gives you 130 seconds. Next part. The speed of the signal sent from Earth to Mars in May 2019 was actually less than 3 times 10 to the 5 kilometers per second. How will this affect your answer to part B? If that speed, which is in the denominator, is less, the time will be more, or it will take longer, or the answer will be bigger. How does that happen is because the time underneath, if that time is smaller, you're dividing by a smaller number, so you will get time to be more, or you can say the time it will take longer. and you get a bigger answer. Question number 12. Patrick has to work out the exact value of 64 to the power 1/4. Patrick says 1/4 of 64 is 16. So 64 to the power 1/4 is 16. Explain what is wrong with what Patrick says. 64 to the power 1/4, you write it as the 4th root of 64. The 4th root of 64, if you put that in the calculator, is 2.828, or 2 root 2. So what Patrick needs to do, needs to find the 4th root. 64 to the power 1/4, it is not 64 divided by 4. It means square root and square root again. So 64 to the 4th root, it means square root and square root again. Question number 13. The density of ethanol is 1.09 grams per cubic centimeters. The density of propylene is 0.97 grams per cubic centimeters. 60 liters of ethanol are mixed with 128 liters of propylene to make 188 liters of antifreeze. Work out the density of the antifreeze. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. With a question like this, let's look at the top right, the formula. At the top right, you see the formula for density. Density is mass divided by volume. And you can use the triangle where mass is density times volume, and volume is mass divided by density. With that, we draw a table. The DMV, density, mass, and volume, and then ethanol, propylene, and antifreeze. So in the first column, the density of ethanol is 1.09, which is given at the top in the question. And the density of propylene is 0.97, which is also given. Now we can find the mass. The mass of ethanol is 60 because it's 60 liters. So the volume times the density. So the mass is volume times density. You use the formula at the top right. Mass is volume times density, and that will give you 65.4. And for the propylene, you do the same. Mass is volume times density. The volume is 128. You multiply by the density 0.97. It gives you 124. And we know the volume is 60 and 128. Volume for ethanol is 60 and volume for propylene is 128. We go to the antifreeze column. To work out the density for antifreeze is the mass divided by the volume. So it's 139.56 divided by the volume. The total volume is 188. So 139.56 divided by 188. How do we get the total mass 139.56? We add the total mass for ethanol and propylene. 65.4 for ethanol, that's the mass for ethanol, plus 124.16, that's the mass for propylene. That gives us 139.56. That gives us the total mass for the antifreeze. And when we divide by that volume, it gives us the density 1.008. And they say give your answer to 2 decimal places. So we round it up to 1.01. Question number 14. The diagram shows a rectangle ABDE and 2 congruent triangles AFE and BCD. Area of ABD is equals to area of triangle AFE plus area of triangle BCD. AB is to AE equals to 1:3. Work out the length of AE. Look at the right hand side. There's the formula for area of a triangle. You need to learn that formula. It's very common in the higher tier examination, GCSE examination. The area is half times the product of the two sides, half AB sine C. Half times the product of the two sides times the angle between them. Half AB sine C. So we're going to use that formula to work out the area of the triangle. So half times one of the side is 24 and the other side is 3x. So half times 24 times 3x times sine of 30 degrees. The angle between them, the pink angle there is 30 degrees. Sine of 30 degrees. And that is equal to 18x. Because sine of 30 degrees is a half. So for two triangles, because there's two triangles, one on the left side and one on the right side. For two triangles, you multiply that answer by 2. So 2 times 18x will give you 36x because there's two triangles. Now we want to find the area of the rectangle in the middle, the brown color. The rectangle in the middle, we want to find the area. The area is length times width. The length is 3x and the width is x. So 3x times x is the same as 3x squared. Now we have 3x squared is equals to 36x. You divide by 3 on both sides, it becomes x squared equals to 36 divided by 3 is 12x. Now you can bring the 12 to the left side, and that means I'll indicate it with this green color. This 12x, move it to the left, it becomes minus 12x. So x squared minus 12x is equals to 0. You factorize. X is common on the left side, x is common on the right side. So you factorize x bracket x minus 12 equals to 0. So either x is 0 or x is equals to 12. So that means AE is 3x. 3 times 12 is 36. So AE is 36. Question number 15. The graph of the curve C with equation y equals to f of x is transformed to give the graph of the curve S with equation y equals to f of minus x minus 3. The point C with coordinates 7, 2 is mapped to the point Q on S. Find the coordinates of Q. So reflection in the y-axis and then a translation of 0 minus 3. 0 units right and 3 units down. That's what has happened to f of x. So you start with f of x. What the minus x does is it reflects it in the y-axis. That is what f of minus x does. F bracket minus x, it reflects it in the y-axis. And then the minus 3 it moves it 0 units right, and then moves it 3 units down. That's what the minus 3 means. So y equals to f of x. So what you want to do is you want to multiply. It starts with 7, 2. The coordinate 7, 2. You multiply 7 times minus 1 because you are reflecting it in the y-axis. So it changes to the other side. 7 times minus 1, it gives you minus 7. And then you're bringing it minus 3 down. So the y-axis goes down by 3. So 2 minus 3, it gives you minus 1. So the new coordinates are minus 7, minus 1. Times by minus 1, that's the reflection in the y-axis. And then you bring it down 3 by subtracting 3 from the y value. And if you look on the right-hand side, it gives you a summary of the coordinate rules for reflection. So when you reflect in the y-axis, xy changes to minus xy. When you reflect in the x-axis, xy changes to x and minus y. And so on. So that table there is good to understand it and how to apply it. Question number 16. Here are the first 6 terms of a quadratic sequence. Minus 1, 5, 15, 29, 47, 69. Find an expression in terms of n for the n term of this sequence. Let's find the first difference. The difference between minus 1 and 5 is 6. 5 minus minus 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. 15 minus 5 is 10. 29 minus 15 is 14. 47 minus 29 is 18. 69 minus 47 is 22. So that gives us the first difference. Let's find the second difference. The second difference, 10 minus 4, 10 minus 6 is 4. 14 take away 10 is 4. 18 take away 14 is 4. 22 take away 18 is 4. The second difference is the same. That tells us it's a quadratic sequence. Now we need to work out n squared. 1 times 1, it gives you 1. 1 squared is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. That's 2 squared. 3 times 3 is 9. That's 3 squared. 4 times 4 is 16. That's 4 squared. Now let's look at the original sequence that we had. Minus 1, 5, 15, 18. So we work out 2n squared. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times 9, 18. 2 times 16, 32. Let's work out the difference between the original sequence that's given in green there and 2n squared. Minus 1 minus 2 is minus 3. 5 minus 8 is minus 3. 15 minus 18 is minus 3. 29 minus 32 is minus 3. The difference is all minus 3. So we can write the quadratic n term of the quadratic sequence as 2n squared minus 1. And you can check if it's correct by substituting some numbers. Let's put n equals to 1. 2 times 1 squared minus 1. 1 squared is 1 times 2 is 2 minus 3 is minus 1. If we put 2, 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. And if you put 3, 3 squared is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 minus 3 is 15. So we have checked to make sure it is correct. Question number 17. Here are 4 graphs. Graph A, graph B, graph C, graph D. The graphs represent 4 different types of function f. Match each description of the function in the table to the letter of its graph. Description of function and the graph. F of x is inversely proportional to x. The graph is B, 1 over x. That's y is inversely proportional to x, or y equals to 1 over x. That's the shape of the graph. Y equals to 1 over x. The second one, f of x is a trigonometrical function. Trigonometrical functions like sine of x, cosine of x, tangent of x, but this one passes through 0. So it is a sine of x, y equals to sine of x. F of x, so the answer is A for that one. F of x is an exponential function. An exponential function is D, which is increasing fast. For example, y equals to 2 to the power x. F of x is directly proportional to square root of x. The answer is C. That's its square root of x type shape of a graph. Question number 18. Part A. Show that bracket open 2x plus 1 bracket close x plus 3 and 3x plus 7 can be written in the form ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d, where a, b, c, and d are integers. So we're given 3 things in brackets to multiply them. So we multiply the first 2. 2x plus 1 in bracket times x plus 3 in bracket. We use the FOIL method. First, outer, inner, last. And when you multiply that, you get 2x squared plus 6x plus x plus 3. You add the x together, collect like terms. 6x plus x gives you 7x. So your answer is 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. We take that now and multiply by 3x plus 7. So this one will give you 6 terms. 2x squared times 3x, 2x squared times 7. The next one, 7x times 3x, 7x times 7. The last pair, 3 times 3x, 3 times 7. It would give you that expression there. And you collect terms. Collect terms means you add the ones, all the x together, and add all the numbers together, or x squared together. So we have 49x and 9x. 49 add 9, it gives you 58x. And then we add 14x squared plus 21x squared, gives you 35x squared. So your answer is 6x cubed plus 35x squared plus 58x plus 21. Part B, solve 1 minus x all in brackets squared is less than 9 divided by 25. We can write 1 minus x all squared as 1 minus x in bracket times 1 minus x. If we expand that, that gives us 1 minus 2x plus x squared is less than 9 over 25. We can take 9 over 25 to the left side, and that becomes x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 9 over 25. It gives us 16 over 25. Is less than 0. To get rid of the fraction, the 25 at the bottom, we multiply everything by 25. So 25 times x squared minus 25 times 2 is 50. And then 25 times 16 over 25 gives you just 16 because the 25s would cancel. And that is less than 0. Now we can factorize that. And you can use your calculator to factorize it. You would get 5x minus 2 bracket 5x minus 8 is less than 0. So x is equal to 2 over 5, or x is equal to 8 over 5. So you will sketch a quadratic curve. Those 2 over 5 and 8 over 5 are the critical values which you sketch and mark them on the graph. And you sketch the U-shaped curve. You want it to be less than 0. So the part which is colored yellow there on the diagram is less than 0. So you want it between 2 over 5 and 8 over 5. So your answer will be written as 2 over 5 less than x less than 8 over 5. That's the part which is below 0. Question number 19. D is equals to U squared divided by 2A. U is equals to 26.2, correct to 3 significant figures. A is equals to 4.3, correct to 2 significant figures. Calculate the upper bound for the value of D. Give your answer correct to 6 significant figures. You must show all your working. So to get the upper bound for D, you want to use the upper bound for U divided by the lower bound for A. The biggest value for U divided by the smallest value for A. So let's look at 26.2. The upper bound is 26.25. It's less than 26.25 and 26.15. 4.3 to 2 significant figures. You can have 4.35, which is less than 4.35, and 4.25 in the lower bound. So to get the upper bound for B, we use the biggest value for U. Biggest value for U is 26.25 divided by 2 times the smallest value for A. Smallest value for A is 4.25. So we're dividing the big number divided by a small number. That gives us 81.0662. And it says give your answer to 6 significant figures. So it's 81.0662 to 6 significant figures. The next part, part B. The lower bound for the value of D is 78.6003, correct to 6 significant figures. By considering bounds, write down the value of D to a suitable degree of accuracy. You must give a reason for your answer. If we have a lower bound of 78.6003 and we have an upper bound of 81.0662, let's round them to one significant figure. 78.6003 to one significant figure is 80. And 81.0662 to one significant figure is 80 as well. So the bounds agree when we are rounding them to 80 or to the nearest 10 or to the nearest significant figure. So we use 80. Question number 20. Solve algebraically the simultaneous equation. There's two equations, x squared minus 4y squared equals to 9 and 3x plus 4y equals to 7. What we're trying to do is to find out where those two equations meet. And the first equation, let's say, is a circle. And if you look at the picture I've put there, it's just to help you to visualize it. Let's say the first one Look at the picture on the right hand side. The first equation, x squared plus minus 4y squared equals to 9. Let's say it is a circle. And the second one, 3x plus 4y equals to 7 is a line. So we want to find out where the circle and the line meet. And in this case, they meet at 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. So the aim of this algebraic solving is to find those 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, where the circle and the line meets. So let's go now and start to do the algebra. First thing we want to do is we go to the line because that one is easier. We make x the subject. That means put x on one side, everything on the other side. So to make x the subject from the line, we divide by 3. We subtract 4y from both sides and divide by 3. So 7 minus 4y divided by 3, it gives you x. I've highlighted it in yellow. So now that we know what x is, we would take that value of x and replace x in the equation which has x squared minus 4y squared equals to 9. So instead of x, we will replace 7 minus 4y over 3 is squared, so we write it twice, minus 4y squared equals to 9. Now this equation hasn't got x in it now. We can proceed to solve it. So the equation has no x. I think it will be good for me to color that equation because that is the key point here. We want to eliminate x. So we've got the equation now. The equation in blue, what I've highlighted in blue, hasn't got x in it. And we can now solve it. So aim was to get rid of x and we can solve the equation in blue. To solve it, we expand, we multiply that first to remove the brackets. So we use first in, first outer, inner, last, the method. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 4 is 28 minus 28y minus 28y minus 4y times minus 4y is plus 16y squared divided by 3 times 3 is 9 minus 4y squared is 9. It's equals to 9. Now we want to get rid of the 9 at the denominator, the 9 at the bottom there. So we times everything by 9. So that would give us this next expression. The 9 has disappeared. And we subtract this 9 from the right-hand side. So the 9 on the right-hand side, we bring it and minus 9. By that time, we multiply with 9, it becomes 81. So what we're doing now is we want to put all the y squared together, put the y's together. So 16y squared minus 36y squared, 16 minus 36, it gives you 20 y squared. And so let's put that 16 minus 36y squared in a color that you can see them. So put these two together. 16y squared minus 36y squared, it gives you minus 20y squared. And then minus 56y minus 32. 49 minus 81, it gives you minus 32. Now you solve this quadratic. You can use the calculator or you simplify it. You can divide by 4 to get 5y squared plus 14y plus 8 equals to 0. When you factorize, means put them in brackets, it's 5y plus 4, brackets, y plus 2 equals to 0. Now, 5y plus 4 equals to 0, that gives y equals to minus 4 over 5. Or y plus 2 equals to 0, that gives y equals to minus 2. Now, once you got the first, you got y minus 4 over 5 and y equals to minus 2, we need to find the corresponding values for x. And I would use the equation for the line because that one is easier. So we go and substitute that minus 4/5 into the equation for the line. So that would be 7 minus 4 times minus 4/5 divided by 3. You put that in your calculator, it gives you x to be 3 and 2/5. The next one, you take y is equals to minus 2, substitute it in there. So 7 minus 4 times minus 2 divided by 3, that gives you x to be 5. So the two sets of points or answers are when x is 3 and 2/5, y is minus 4/5. When x is 5, y is minus 2. So those are the two pairs of points where they meet. The circle and the line meet. So to summarize, number 1, make x the subject from the equation of the line. Substitute that for x in the equation of the circle. Square it. Remove the brackets and simplify it to get a quadratic. Factorize the quadratic to get the two values for y. And use those two values for y to find the two values for x. Question number 21. The histogram gives information about the distribution of the weights of some onions grown by a farmer. Frequency density on the y-axis, weight in grams on the x-axis. Onions less than 60 grams in weight are used for pickling. Onions greater than 120 grams in weight are sold at the market. The rest of the onions are sent to a food processing factory. Now, if you look at the bottom, I've put some formula there. Frequency density is equals to frequency divided by class weight. You need to memorize and learn this formula. And frequency divided by class weight gives you the frequency density. You can put it in a triangle and learn how to work them from the triangle. Frequency is equals to frequency density times class weight. So for each of those bars, 60 for the weight times 2, it gives you 120. So the area of the rectangle is length times width, which is frequency density times the class weight. For the next rectangle is 30 is the height, is the width. 30 times 5, it gives 150. The next one is 270. The next one is 90, and the next one is 90. You add all of them together, 120 plus 150 plus 270 plus 90 plus 90 gives you 720. And all we're doing is multiplying the length times the width for each of those bars. So it says onions less than 60 grams are used for pickling. So pickling, can you see 60 times 2, 120, these sections for pickling? And the rest of the onions greater than 120, these ones in this sold at the market, the one which are greater than 120 are sold at the market. So a pie chart is drawn using the information opposite to show what the farmer does with the onions he grows. 120 is used for pickling. 180 is sold at the market. And this sent to the food processing factory, X degrees. Now, the angle of the sector for the onions sent to the food processing factory is X degrees. Work out the value of X. So we know 120 is used for pickling plus 180, it gives 300. And 150 plus 270, it gives 420. That's the number of onions between 60 grams and 120 grams. So 720 is for 360 degrees. The 720 is for the 360 degrees, the complete circle. So what would 420 be? You cross multiply. 420 times 360 divided by 720, it gives you 210 degrees. So that angle is 210 degrees. So that 420 represents everything that is sent to the food for processing, to the food processing factory. That's what 420 represent. But we need to change that 420 to an angle. What angle does that 420 represent? We know 720 represent 360 degrees. What angle does 420 represent? So that's why we times by 360 and divide by 720. So 420 represents 210 degrees. Question number 22. The diagram shows a circle center 0, O. AB is the tangent to the circle at the point A. Angle AOBA is 30 degrees. Point B has coordinates 16, 0. Point P has coordinates 3P, P. Find the value of P. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. You must show all your working. First, we look at that triangle. Sine of 30 degrees is R over 16. Look at the triangle in green, and we're going to use the trigonometric ratio. Sine 30 degrees is opposite, which is R, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 16. That means R is 16 times sine 30. Sine 30 is a half. 16 times a half gives us 8. So the radius is 8. Now we're looking at the circle. The equation of a circle, x squared plus y squared equals to r squared. And the radius is 8. So we have x squared plus y squared equals to 8 squared. We replace r with 8 because the radius is 8. So x squared plus y squared, 8 squared is 64. So we write 64. Now they've given us that x is 3p and y is p. So instead of x squared, we replace it with 3p squared. Instead of y squared, we replace it with p squared. So 3p squared plus y squared equals to 64. We need to solve that equation for p. 3p squared is 3 times 3 is 9. P squared plus p squared equals to 64. 9p squared plus p squared is 10. 9p squared plus 1p squared is 10p squared. 10p squared is 64. You divide by 10, p squared is 6.4. And square root of 6.4 is 2.53. So to 1 decimal place, it's 2.5. So to summarize, we use trigonometry, the SOHCAHTOA formula, and we use sine, opposite over hypotenuse, to find the radius. Once we find the radius of that circle, we use the equation for, or the formula for a circle with center 0, 0, and that is x squared plus y squared equals to r squared. Next, we sub in the value for r, which is 8, and we sub in for x, which is 3p. We sub in for y, which is p, and then we solve it to get p is 2.5. Question number 23. The diagram shows the position of 3 towns: Acton, Boston, and Charlton. Boston is 8 kilometers from Acton on a bearing of 037 degrees. Charlton is 9 kilometers from Boston on a bearing of 150 degrees. Find the bearing of Charlton from Acton. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. You must show you're working. For this question 23, let me go through the formula that we're going to be using before we start the question. These are the formulae that we're going to be using for question 23. The first one would be the cosine rule. For the cosine rule, a squared is equals to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. So the a is the red line there. So this a squared is equals to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of the angle between b and c. The next rule that we'd use would be called the sine rule, or sometimes they call it the law of sines. If we look at the sine a over a, which the one in red, sine of the angle a divided by the side, the length of the side a, is equals to sine of the angle b divided by the side b, and the side b is opposite the angle, the sine of that is the angle b, and equals to sine of the angle c divided by the length c, which is opposite the angle c. And you use two of them at a time. You can choose the first pair, sine of a over a equals to sine of b over b, or you can choose sine of b over b equals to sine of c over c, or you can choose sine of a over a is equals to sine of c over c. Choose any pair of them and use, and then you can apply it to the third one. Consecutive interior angles, or what they call allied angles. If two parallel lines cut by transversal, then alternate interior angles are supplementary. What that means is, you see the two red lines, they are like train track, they are parallel. The two red lines are parallel. And this line that goes across it is called a traversal. So these two angles, the blue and the purple, they add up to 180 degrees. So it's very important to remember. It looks like a C. It looks like a C color, but C shape, they add up to 180 degrees. So we go now looking at the question 23. We start by using the cosine rule. So in that triangle, AC is the blue line. AC is that blue line. So the blue line AC squared is equals to square of this side 9 squared plus 8 squared this side minus 2 times 9 times 8 cosine of the angle opposite AC, which is 67. And how did we get 67? Get it from 360 degrees minus 293. That gives you 67. And if you add 37 degrees to this angle in pink B, these two angles are what they call allied angles. This line is parallel to this line. So 37 degrees plus B, it gives you 180. So 180 minus 37, it gives you 143. So you know B is 143. You know this other angle is 150. So you add them together and take from 360 to get 67. Now applying the numbers in the cosine rule, put it all in your calculator at once. Put all of these numbers in your calculator at once and find the square root. It would give you 9.4199. Now we're going to use the sine rule. In the sine rule, sine of angle BAC. Angle BAC is the yellow, shaded yellow, and is labeled X. Sine of angle BAC divided by the side opposite that angle, which is 9, is equals to sine of 67 divided by the side opposite, which is 9.419, which is what we work out. To get sine of BAC, we can cross multiply 9 times sine 67. Take the 9 to that side. 9 times sine 67 divided by 9.4199. So that will give us BAC is 61.57. So your total angle is 61.57 plus 37, which gives you 98.6. And we write bearing to 3 with 3 digits, so it's 098.6 degrees. 098.6 degrees. So when you use your calculator, you will put inverse sine of all of that, 9 times sine 67 over 9.4199. You can see there in the calculator, and that will give you the 61.5788. And then that you would add that to 37, and that will give you 98.6 degrees. But bearings are supposed to be given in 3 digits for bearings, 3 digits. So you write it as 098.6 degrees.